I was shown he is the one. How will he know too? I was shown he is the one. How will the other person know that he is the one? Did you hear that question? It's like someone coming to you and tell you, in the night the Lord showed me you were my wife. That is strange. Eh? I was shown he's the one. How will he know that is the one? Basically, you're discussing, how do I begin an affair in the first place? Let me just give a quick example of, we have met in church, just like I said, that boy. And, we socialize not having at the back of our minds that this would be the person who would be my wife or what? Or husband. It never crosses our minds. We even grow up together in the same what? In the same church. Then the Bible says, he who finds a woman, a wife, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. You're meant to imagine you should be searching. Is it? Yeah. The word find would imply you must search. The Hebrew word is matter. Matter is not a deliberate attempt to search. I hope I'm not using big statements. Matter does not mean a deliberate attempt to search. It means bumping into someone like you didn't expect to do what? To bump into them. Like I didn't expect I would meet you. I'm seeing some for the first time. It didn't even occur to you that you'd end up as a couple. Because you were not searching. And the problem with searching is when it's deliberate, there are certain things you are looking for. Because you're in a search mission. But when you bump into someone accidentally, it means you could be together in this same place, but you never thought you'd be in any relationship. But all of a sudden you realize your fondness for each other is growing. And one of you would want to attempt to propose a friendship beyond what you're feeling for each other. That is when I said, before any one of you decides it's a yes or what, seek the counsel of who? Of God. So it means by that time, both the man is seeking the face of God. You are also doing what? Seeking the face of God. I'm not talking about someone just coming to you one day, I dreamt. It can't happen like that. It cannot. Or even when a man thinks that this should be the person, even without telling her, you can still seek the face of God. And when he approves it, you just make the move. Making the move, you'd be funny to come and say, niliongea na Mungu akasema, no. If the Lord makes that approval, I just make the move like a gentleman. Can we engage in this affair? And I'm not saying that the circumstances are the same. They are what? Different and varied. How we bump into people without ever thinking that we would be in an affair. And the Lord makes something beautiful out of it. But bottom line, what I'm saying is that you must feel in your heart that God is the one that should make the choice for you. Don't leave him out. Don't leave him out. It's different when a woman feels something for you. Because women, we can feel things for people, is it? Strong desire. One youth leader, 5 ladies feel something for him. 5. The man is what? Is 1. Instead of torturing yourself with a feeling that could be an obsession, why don't you seek the face of God? If it is yours, all good and perfect gifts come from God. You will get it. If it is not yours, the Lord will actually tell you it is not yours. You will just know. And there are many ways to know. One time, I'm on a mission trip, like I have many mission trips. And then my poster is everywhere up to the division, because it was a crusade organized by the division. So you can be sure it was in all countries that form our division. And then, it's interesting. As we move to Uganda, it was a crusade in northern Uganda, Lira. So we got to Kampala first. And then we are told that there is a young man that should be our guide to Lira. So we are supposed to pick him from, it's called Kireka something like that. Some place in Uganda, Kampala. So we pick this guy. This is my seat. He sits in front of me. But it gives me this look of, okay. And I'm like, huh. So I slept. I sleep when I travel. Even on a flight that takes 30 minutes, I sleep. It just comes. Once I sit, I go. And then I realize the bus has stopped. So I wake up and lazily opens my eyes. To meet whose eyes? That guy. Leaning on the seat like this. And he says, guys are picking flowers out here. Would you want to pick flowers? To me, would you want to go for a short call? And then I was pissed off. I was like, I'm not interested. And you know, I'm the preacher at the crusade. And we get to the crusade. We split the team because some are coming from Tanzania, some are coming from Rwanda, some are coming from Uganda, Kenya, all the countries that form the division. And then I realized when we are at the camp, because the boys were using tents outside, the girls were using another house that has been built for the pastor, but the pastor has not occupied it. So I'm given a room to share with the girl they had traveled with. This is just his girlfriend. Just girlfriend, not girlfriend, friend, the one you... So you know the friend I'm talking about? Rafiki too. So I'm given a room to share with her. So we are sharing a room with her. She has a bed there, I have a bed here. And then now we are splitting the team because we had 4 campaign sites. And I can see the guy is struggling to be in my side. Struggling, like, what's wrong? And every other time, he wants to talk to me. Then I can tell he's interested. Okay? So he comes to me and tells me, I love your eloquence. And I'm like, for real, huh? But there are women that are not moved. They're like Ugandan women. If you tell them your hair is nice, they'll ask you, which one? You don't just say, your hair is nice and you have gone. You've just gotten a man with, your hair is nice. No, just ask them which one. So he just told me, can I be in your side? And I told him, I'm not the one splitting the team. Why don't you find out from the team lead? So the team leader accepts, and I find him in our side. And he's there. And the guy is getting closer and closer. So one time he gains courage. When I'm preparing the sermon in the course of the day, we've not gone to preach. Knocks on the door. I say, how is my queen? He began calling me my queen. I said, I'm fine. Can I come in? I said, no problem, come in. Because in my mind, there's nothing going on like, nothing going on. Me, I don't know his agenda. But a young man, very handsome. I have to ask myself if I came to preach or if I came to look for a man. And you have to stick within. Yeah, I came to preach. Then he said, how are you, my queen? I said, I'm fine. A dental surgeon. I'm not talking about a pala here. Very handsome dental surgeon. And then I said, I'm fine. Can I come in? I said, please do. Because when you're a pastor, anyone can come in for advice. And then the friend that he came with was there. And then, so and so, can you excuse me? And like, what is it you want to tell pastor that I cannot hear? I said, please go out. This is private and personal. I said, okay. So I told the girl, just leave. And then he closed the door. I'm seated on my bed. I thought he would take the other bed, just came and sat next to me. I said, oh, what do you want? And they said, I don't want to beat around the bush. I like you. Hey, say Wakristo wengine wako na guards. Say, I like you. I said, okay. So what does liking mean? Say, I just love the way you're natural. Say, my natural attracts you. Say, yes. I saw your poster at our conference headquarters, and I just said, God, thank you. You know, the boy is being sincere with me. So I said, okay, fine. How old are you? Then gives me his age. And I tell him that would be child abuse. So he asked me, how old are you? And we realize I'm a year and a half older than him. So he tells me, I don't mind the age. Then I quickly know when people begin giving you statements like, I don't mind, they're not thinking. They're not thinking. So I tell him, let's give it some time. I'm here for a mission. Allow me finish my what? A mission. We finished mission 2 weeks back. When I came back, he said, can I travel to Kenya to come and see you? I said, traveling a travel like this. You just can't. So the boy came. Still pursuing his what? His mission. And an attraction was slowly beginning to do what? To build. A very affectionate guy. I wish, today is my friend. I wish I would bring him here. He's now married. All girls would want him. Very affectionate. So I said, okay, let's give it some time. Then he traveled over from Uganda, came to Kenya. We spent a whole weekend. So I had to organize a place for him to stay. And then one Sabbath afternoon, I told him we need to talk. But I had cried to the Lord the previous night. And I told the Lord, there's a man chasing me, so sincere with himself. You don't just put off people like that. So sincere with himself. And I was sincere with God. There's an attraction beginning to build between me and this guy. I'm pleading with you. Show me something. Let me feel something. Just let me know if this is the person. So when we went to church in the afternoon, we got someplace. We were sitting, just talking. And then all of a sudden, you know the feeling you'd have of attraction for someone, all of a sudden, just leaves you. And the whole thing changes and you no longer feel nothing and you're like, this person is troubling me. And I could tell this is of the Lord because I prayed about it. Then you could tell what was beginning to build was actually not a sincere attraction per se. That could have been some infatuation or something. Okay. And I candidly told him, it's not possible. It is not. It won't work. Yeah. I think I've battled with the Lord and it will not work. Do you know what he told me? He told me, I think I've tried my best. It's okay if it can't work. And he went back to Uganda. And we remained friends. Just married some 3 years back. Very fine doctor. And I said, this man is God-fearing, sincere with his emotions, and willing to take up whatever response that you'd give him. Tunasikizana watoto wangu. It's not wrong to feel something for someone, but be sure whether it's an obsession, infatuation, or is a real feeling. Because I don't believe it when I counsel couples that come to me that are willing to go separate ways. The question I ask them, do you still love him? She says, yes, but I don't think we can stay. You ask the man, do you still love her? Yes, but mahali imefika, sioni tukiendelea. So what is this thing you're calling love? What is this thing you're calling love? In Daniel 10:2, verse 2 and 3, there is a provision for Daniel not having meat, wine for food. Does this mean he took meat as his food? What was the king's royal food that they purposed not to defile themselves with? You're talking about the meal of Kina Daniel. One thing you need to understand, people would want to hinge the dietary form on the experience of Kina Daniel, which is true also, but there's a deeper lesson to learn. They didn't just accept it because it had articles of flesh and wine, but they also didn't accept it because it was flesh offered to what? To idols. That was number one. Okay? Number two, Kina Daniel were not just victory youths who came from nowhere and went to Babylon. White says they had been trained thoroughly from childhood on matters religion. So by the time they're going to Babylon, they're not just refusing nothing. It is their lifestyle that for sure they do not take meat and wine. So you cannot, I almost said the Luo word, ngero. You cannot tempt them with it. It's a no-go zone, and they have moral power to resist. They're not just resisting because they're trying out something. It is not part of their life. And they have tested what they have been eating back at home, and for sure they know it yields results. Someone now again is bringing in an aspect of health reform, particularly diet. Can I propose you make also another Sunday for that? Yeah. We can't speak of it in passing like that. But it's important. Why are we insisting on good food, which I wouldn't want to go into what is good food? Is because this body you see it like this, is basically what you eat. When you have good food, you have good blood. When you have good blood, you have a good brain. When you have a good brain, you have a good mind. When you have a good mind, you make the right decisions. Mnaongeza hizi vitu kwa nini? And even when you want to link the message of health reform to the three angels' messages, it's about deciding whether you are for the beast or anti-beast. You realize it involves decision making. If you're not in the right state of mind, you will not make that decision to worship God. Because your mind is not in the right state. Good is evil to you, and evil is good to you. You'll not be able to discern the difference. That's why this church, we insist on even the type of diet we should eat. We insist. It's a deep subject, but we can venture into it thoroughly than what we are talking about. What are the stages of courtship? What makes you feel sexy? Okay. What are the stages of courtship? Let me ask, what is courtship? I know there are writers that have written so many things about courtship. I think I've discussed it in one of the episodes at a program with Hope Channel. But if you asked me my personal stand about courtship, Isaac wants to marry. Not Isaac wants to marry. Isaac didn't even know that he should be married. It is his father that realizes my boy is hitting 40 and is not thinking marriage. And the father sends Eliezer, go look for a wife for who? For Isaac. And they swear an oath. You'll not just bring any heathen here. Get one from my people. And Eliezer goes. And when Eliezer goes, does Eliezer know who's meant for Isaac? No. But he sits and speaks to God like you should be sitting and speaking to God. And that is the level of spirituality I'm talking about. And he's saying, God, my master Abraham has sent me for a wife for his son. I'm praying where I am seated here. The woman that comes first and waters my animals and me, that is the word. It means for him, he decided to use a what? What we call a sign, which still applies to date. You don't use a sign because you heard me speak about it. You must be in a very deep relationship with God for God to speak to you through what you've requested. And so by the time Rebecca comes, and that is the first woman, and she waters his animals, because it's a sign he asked God to use, that is the person he knew was a wife to who? To who? To Isaac. And then the woman carries him to their place. And then the next day, they're coming to Kina Isaac's place. The story is interesting. When she saw Isaac, or when Isaac saw him, the Bible just finishes by saying, Isaac took her to his mother's what? House. That's how they began to live. So I've always asked, did these people court? What is this thing we are calling courting? Courting as a word, what does it mean? To get the agreement of someone for you to be with in a what? In a relationship. And I know we court for several reasons. Some people say we are courting to be able to know each other better. Let me tell you, there's nothing like knowing each other better in this world. Because when you're courting with people, people put their best foot forward. All their ugly things, they hide it under the table. No one will give you the real them as they court. Hakuna hata moja. So when you're still waiting for stages, we are in this stage, okay, now we have gotten into engagement. I'm not disputing, but I'm saying, like I always teach, there is Mokoro, as Elizabeth knows him. There is Mokoro as he knows himself. There's the real him. There is Lisa, as I know myself. There is Lisa as Mokoro knows me. And there is the real Lisa. How many are those people? 6. As you court whatever you're calling courting, the only thing you will know is what you think he is and what he thinks he is. The real us never come out in courting. The real us come out in what? In marriage. After you have said I do, you cannot hide anything from the people you share the same bed with, the people you share the same bathroom, same bedroom, same table. You can't hide. It just comes out. That is when people sit and say, what is this I married? How come I didn't see this when I was courting? You were not meant to see it because it was hidden. It was meant to come out in marriage. That is why, bottom line, I repeat, just be sure the one you're picking for courtship have God's signature on it. The fact that God has approved it does not mean it does not have limitations. Rebecca was approved of God, but look at the life of Rebecca, a schemer together with her son. Who? Not Esau, Jacob. People change along the way. But the beauty of it is, when I know it was of God, even if I meet a challenge, I'm willing to go through it because God will make a way out of it. Someone says, if God does not begin it, he cannot defend it. If God didn't begin it, he has no business defending it. But if he began it, he will defend it to the end. Five years courtship. These 5 years you're kissing, cuddling, having sex, and then after 5 years the boy says, I was make. 5 years. And then you begin to count, I have sold my virginity. It's because you thought you're the only one who should be a virgin. Even the man could be a virgin. He also sold this. Why is it when it all falls apart, women want to think they were lied to? The longer you take in this thing you call courtship, chances of not getting married are very high. Because familiarity breeds contempt. Ungiyo mucharu. Once you know it is of God, what are you waiting? Mtu atabeba. Kama elder anaweza beba bibi ya mtu kutoka kanisa hapa na aende nayo. So if you want to get all rosy and flowery and say, okay, we have begun, let's take 1 year, know each other, get it from me. There's nothing you will know about the other person. You will only know where he works, which school he went to. You will know their home. You will know his full names. Those are the things you will know. But the real him is after marriage. And say, okay, now we've done 1 year, now propose. And you force the proposal. You force it. Now 1 year is gone, you have not even said anything. Are you sure you want this relationship? Under pressure, the man proposes. I say, Miss Taki proposal. Because what kind of proposal is this? You want to be taken to Acacia, and then someone kneels down, gives you a ring, my foot. You can choose to get all, those are the stages you want me to begin mentioning here. Me, I won't mention those stages. Ukipata bibi, ambia Mungu nipe pesa, mimi naoa hii msichana, weka kwa nyumba, weka mimba, pata watoto, songa mbele. You know, there are things in life you cannot do because you don't have the means. But don't force it and you don't have it. It has made marriage expensive for this church. Very expensive. Young men that cannot afford it, cannot afford to take a girl to, hii kitu ya wanasema ni ya Royal inaitwaje? Hey, Royal Swiss. A man cannot afford Siala. A man cannot afford Kiakuri. Anangangana. Is best. Gets a ring somewhere, comes to church here when we are doing this session and kneels down, and then you feel embarrassed and then you say no because your friends was done at Siala. Huyu ananiaibisha aje hapa nyuma ya choo hapa hivi. Ananipea ring. You make life difficult. Very difficult. Hata kwenu hakuna nyumba. Very difficult. Just be simple. Simple weddings are very beautiful. I tell you, I'm waiting for one wedding that would be as simple as just the angoa, Mrs. Owili, joka ilungo nao. I watu ili wako sign certificate. Wanaitwa ni? Witness. Watu mbili imetosha. It doesn't mean you don't have money. Those two people are enough. And me, Corona taught me. Where did we have big weddings during Corona? And I saw those that have wealth wed during Corona. Just the two of them and the witness, and they're given a space of not more than, is it 10 or 15? Sasa ni wewe unachagua baba yake na mama yake, baba yake na mama yake. Wamefika watu wangapi ya watu? 6. Imebaki wangapi? 9. Ataleta brother yake. Hapo hakuna mabeshte wenye unaenda kuonyesha vitu hakuna. People are willing to invest in weddings and fail to invest in marriages. Someone called me from Mombasa and said, Pastor, your counseling sessions, how much do you charge? I said, I charge 2,000 per session. How many are there? I said 20. Then akapiga hesabu haraka haraka, 40. So I asked her, how much is your wedding gown? And how much is your reception? Kuku, pilau, and nothing. A reception is how much? How much was your reception? Just to learn. Nothing serious. 3? No, just the reception, food, blah, blah, decoration, kiango, gigote, including the dancers and the what, MC, yango. How much? More than 200,000 for one day. And you will not remember. It will not add value to your marriage. And you are unwilling to spend 40K to gain knowledge for your marriage. And then God says, my people perish. For lack of what? A girl imports a wedding gown at 100,000 and then sees a pastor, how much? 40K. Wacha tukafikiria. You thought we are dustbins you use. It's time that goes into it. And this is structured counseling. I'm not talking about pastor's counseling you do in the office on Saturday and then the wedding is Sunday. Then it teaches you how to make money, how to manage finances, forgetting that the woman does not even work in the first place. The man is jobless. Invest in marriages, not in weddings. People wedded. I have a few friends in Nairobi, rich, 15 people, not even in the church, pastor's office. They were being done in pastor's office, not even in the church. Do you know how their wedding gowns were looking like? People went African. Simple. And they looked good. And they shared with us photos and we said, congratulations. I'm sorry you were not able to come. Send us good photos. I say, congratulations, you look good. They are half married. Chien. What makes you feel sexy? Why would you want to feel sexy? To attract the opposite sex? No, the fact that you're calling it a feeling is an emotion that will drive you to death. And that is why we dress the way we dress, to feel what? Sexy. So you want to feel sexy for the man to see you. That man will marry you for what he saw. And the beauty lasts as long as 2 weeks. Beauty is passing, charm is deceitful. The first time I used this room, it was not looking like this. It didn't even have form. I was wondering, where's the pulpit? Today, I can tell, okay, it's a little bit neat. Beautiful. I've been here the last 1+ hours. The beauty, I don't see it. It's gone. That is what women and men are. It will attract you day one. As the days go by, the beauty, you don't see it anymore. If that is what you married, you will add wives like Solomon added because of beauty. It is the same Solomon that says beauty is passing and charm is deceitful. But a woman that knows the Lord. Why would you want to feel sexy? Why would you attract a man because of your hips that are curvy? And then a man says, leo uko curvy. Wengine wanaitwa Mrs. Curvy. Are you Mrs. Curvy? And you feel good. Wait until he marries you 2 weeks. You'll not be seeing those curves. You'll meet him with a woman that looks like this. Some university girl, nothing looks like this, just like this. Just dress well. Let people be attracted to your character. Character is permanent. Are we together? Yeah. The rest, leave it for your husband in the bedroom. I'm not saying you don't put on hot pants. You can put on hot pants. Put them on within the confines of your what? Your bedroom for your husband. Let me share with you something that married people bore me with. People ask me questions that, like a man asked me, I've never seen the nakedness of my wife. Huh? So I asked, what do you mean? And then he says, she comes to sleep late. Akishaosha vyombo, mpaka aoshe nyumba, atandike viti. Kuna vitu zingine tunafanyanga za ujenga. And then he says, when she comes, she just comes na hizo nguo zake. And then anazima stima. Ndiye anatoa nguo. Analala. So the man is complaining he's not able to see the nakedness. So I'm like, why would you want to see her nakedness? I said, but he's my wife. I said, there's no problem. So I'm beginning to think quickly why this woman is ashamed for the husband. Either one day she exposed herself and he made a joke out of it. Either. Or she's just embarrassed. Okay? So I'm wondering, married people don't want to look sexy in the house. But the same person will find her looking sexy where? Outside. Walking in a very funny, let me imagine, probably it was a woman with, we call this pot or potty, whatever. Probably that is what she has. And, this first floor, second floor, this nyama that, first floor, second floor, third floor. So it's just there. And then there are no hips. So you're big here, then no hips. So, no osiato. It's not there. These are the women you'll meet out here with a very tight-fitting trouser. Very tight. Very tight. Because they want to look, they're insisting they must look what? Sexy. So I'm wondering, in the house, she's not comfortable. But when she wants to walk out, she wants to look sexy. For who now? If it's not for the husband, then for who? What you don't know is that the environment is too seductive from your doorstep to your office. Even in the office is seductive. In church is seductive. The things our husbands see out here in the course of the day, because everything you see is recorded in the what? Subconscious here. It is all there. All. Even the pornography you watch, there's a file in your mind, a file in your subconscious. It is labeled sex or porn. It can open anytime. You open it the way you would open a file on your computer. It opens anytime. So I was saying, if you know our men are in a seductive environment, comes back home with many files of women that were nude on the road and in the office, including the secretary. So when he comes home, this thing going online? Huh? Are we looking at it online? No problem. Alafu itaenda tuko. SDA pastor said, when you want to look seductive, wacha niachie story hapo. TSDA pastor said, when you want to look seductive, alafu anawacha hivi tu yote tumesema kuanzia. And then people start beginning to comment, ni kama ye yuko sexy. You're reading all those comments on Facebook, and I'm like, Connie, what did I say? So nowadays I don't read, because someone will always tag me and say, hey, pastor. So I'm tempted to open. When I open, it's tuko. And then you begin to read comments. If you don't have a big heart, the good thing is that you don't know them, they don't know you. Okay? So they come back with the mind full of those files. Okay? So when they come to the house, you don't need to be ashamed of yourself. I'm talking to women. Okay? I'm talking to women. And the right and place, the best place to be sexy. Not outside there. In your bedroom. For your husband. Not other men. So if you are dealing with computers, you type a document, you save it Lisa. Sindio? Tomorrow you come, type another document, save it Lisa. What will happen? It will tell you there is an already existing file with the same name. Do you want to ni copy and paste? Do you want to replace? There is the other option. Kuna replace na kuna ingine. Sasa mnasema mingi zingine hata hakuna. I'm interested in one option. Do you want to replace? You click replace as soon as you can. Pow! So it's the same thing. As they come from the outside environment, many files written nudity. And they come to the house, find a woman who is always in a leso. It's written, Singanga ni ng'ombe. Get also your file, written Elizabeth, and do what? Replace. And replace. You don't need to look sexy out here. Looking sexy is for your spouse, not people out here. Else people will mistake you for something else. And they will marry you for lust of the eyes and lust of the flesh. But they don't necessarily love you. You don't need to expose any part of your body. You speak. Let your character show it. And we have lost it as women. When men want to flirt with you, they just look at how you dress. They know this one I can flirt with. But they want serious marriage material. They just look at how someone is dressed. And for sure, if you want to know a high-thinking woman, you will know it from the way they are what? Dressed. So let no one cheat you that this thing is fashion. It's not fashion. It speaks something ill about you. So this is someone else struggling with feeling sexy. Just appreciate your body the way it. You don't know how many times I've wanted to add 1 GB. You don't know, but I can't. This one is in the DNA. I can't. Even if I took 1 liter of Elianto, nothing will happen. The other day, I took my baby to the clinic, and then there are these women in government facilities that entice women to family planning. Have you met them? They're in the clinics. So one came. Because I know them, I'm not interested. She came, sat next to me. And then I looked straight into her eyes, and then she was shocked. Because they're old women. And then she says, uko na miaka ngapi? She didn't even greet me. Alishtuka akauliza tu, uko na miaka ngapi? I said, kwa nini unataka kujua miaka yangu? Ati hapana, si kwa ubaya. Tulikuwa tunatafuta wasichana wadogo for training 19 and below. Umeniona niko 19, nakaa 19 kwako. And then she said, Mama, kwani uko na miaka ngapi? I said, I'm 40. So some of us have struggled to look 40, but we can't. Someone still thinks we are 19. My son the other day came and said, hey, mama za watoto wengine kwa shule ni no. So I asked him, kwa hivyo? Na wewe ni. I said, nini? Wewe ni mrefu. I think wewe ni mkonde. Wewe ni mrefu, you know. We love the way we are. Because there are things you can't change in life. Can a leopard change its spots? Can Ethiopian change his skin? Just love the way you. If you have small boobs, they're yours. The beauty is they can produce milk, is it? Yeah. And I know of oranges that are small, but a lot of juice. And I know big oranges dried inside. So just love. Don't alter anything in the name of looking sexy. Just look kienyeji. I think I'm done. Is there a reason to marry, or why should I marry? Hiyo imetosha yao. Oh. This is now too late. The ambassadors here? Yeah. I say give them a word of advice, else they go back without anything. They have learned. Kings dongi sasa mogemoroka. Dongi. Kings is an ambassador. Kama hivi tu hujasoma? Good boy. I once dated a man in my life, or a woman. I can't say this word well. Then the same lady, that should be a woman, the same lady told me if I continue being a friend, she will leave the church. Huh? This thing has disturbed me. It's like I'm a sinner. If I continue being a what? Are you getting it? Someone who can get it, please help me. I once dated, I can't say this, a lady in my life. Then the same lady told me if I continue being a friend, she would leave the church. Oh, what we were talking about? Just dating, not saying your next move. So it means either you sent the wrong signals. You see, these friendships you have with people in church until someone thinks they are the one. Are you getting it? Do not socialize with people in a manner you send a wrong signal, so they continue thinking that chances of you getting into something much deeper is higher, when in your mind, the only thing you know, this is a fellow church member. That's why I said, avoid these funny hugs you have. Come, we hug the way you people hug. Come, we hug. Avoid these hugs that in the evening we practice the song for Sabbath. In the evening, we practice the song for Sabbath. And then when Sabbath come in the morning, we meet here and just, Solo! And then you look at Solo like this, you're still holding. Now you're sending wrong signals. You condition Solo to those kinds of hugs. You know what conditioning is? Every time you meet, they expect that kind of what? Hug. But you see, to you, you've already interpreted it as something else. And then, kidogo, Solo now is dating Sandra. Alafu, story inaanza. Kuna chale fulani tulikuwa too close, aka break my heart, alichukua gal mwingine. Gal mgani? Kweni alikuambianga mnafaa kuwa mnadate. You see, this is a girl you have been close, and in her mind she thinks there's something going on. But in your mind there is nothing. Avoid socializing like that. Hi. Tosha. Kama ni mbaya, Bwana asifiwe. Amen. Don't get people too close to the point they would misunderstand you, because you will break their hearts when there was not supposed to be any breakage of the heart. You were just being sincere with yourself. I think this is the last one, and we are done. Why is there a reason to marry, or why should I marry? I think this is a class for those that intend to get married. That is where we always discuss it. Why do we marry? Is there a reason to marry? Yes, there is. And a greater reason than the reasons we have. Very great. And I think I've preached it in this church. I have. It all starts in heaven with the war that was in heaven between Michael and the devil, Lucifer. And he managed to expel Lucifer with how many angels? A third of the angels. When you read Spirit of Prophecy, the book is Truth About Angels. It explains in detail the fall of Lucifer. And it says at some point, that should be chapter 5. Go read it because we don't have time. It's chapter 5. It says that after he had been expelled, I'm paraphrasing, after he'd been expelled from heaven, immediately God got into a discussion with Christ on the purpose of our creation. And then it goes down to explain the purpose of our creation. The purpose of our creation was to occupy the places that were left vacant. In where? In heaven. The word she uses was to repopulate heaven. That is the word she uses. That God went down after the fall, not decided because the decision had already been made before the foundation of the earth, because he foresaw the fall. So immediately Satan fall, immediately they rolled out the plan of creating man to repopulate heaven. That's why this is not a home. We are meant to repopulate heaven. Where there is a repopulation, there must have been a depopulation. And the depopulation is because of the fall of what? Lucifer and a third of the angels. So how does God, which word would I use? how does God strategize? Or how does God want to achieve the numbers that are meant to repopulate heaven? Then the story continues. He sits to create Adam. Then the story of how marriage in Eden is the next one. So God seeking to repopulate heaven through marriage and family. So it's more clearer when you go to, where's my Bible? Someone get me my Bible. More clearer when you go to the Bible is asking Malachi, I think it's 4, is asking, Malachi 2 or 4, I'm opening it for you, is asking, why one? Why did God make them one? Or why did God institute marriage? The answer he gives is because he seeks a godly offspring. Thank you. It's 2. But did he not make them one? One in the context of marriage, man and wife. Having a remnant of the Spirit. And why one? That is the answer. He seeks godly offspring. Offspring could mean a generation or a production of people that are not wicked, but are what? Godly. So why would God be interested in a production of godly people? Repopulate where? Heaven. And the multiplication bit is found within what? Marriage and family. And after making them, he told them, go multiply, fill the what? Fill the earth. To get the lost a third that would occupy heaven. So marriage is deeper than finances, taking people to school, paying rent. We get married because God seeks a godly offspring. And parenting comes in so strong when you're thinking about marriage and family, is that we will raise children. Parenting is not about school fees or food or clothes. Parenting is about character building. For where? For heaven. So when I sit like this and I'm thinking marriage, I'm simply aiding God in the production of a people that are godly, that are fit to occupy the vacant positions that are in where? In heaven. Not sex. Not money. How many people have money but they don't have good marriages? How many people have sex every single day but no marriage? They're fighting every other day. Those are small reasons. I call them secondary. But the biggest reason is that God created man and a woman. Marriage set up, bring up a family that would be godly enough to occupy heaven. Because it is disobedience that caused the expulsion of Lucifer, the third of the angels. Anyone to occupy it must build a character for heaven. So as Christ says, I'm going to prepare a place for you, as he builds a mansion for us in heaven, we are meant to build a character for heaven. And that is why I was saying, we are raising boys, we are not raising men. And the devil knows too well that this is the reason for marriage. Because it is meant for us to occupy his space. You think he's happy you're occupying his space? Ellen White explains and says that he's bitter that he cannot be readmitted into heaven. So he goes to make war with families. You also don't occupy it because he's also not occupying it. That's why the devil is more interested in families today than any other thing, in marriages. And he has many strategies. The biggest of all is weaken the foundation. And the foundation is the boy child. Weaken it completely. Because once the foundations are weak, every other thing cannot stand. Nothing stands. Nothing. That's a lesson for another day. Those that want to get married, there are so many here. So many. For girls, there are many. All these are marriage material here. Ama mjamaliza shule? Yote imetosha kuolewa. Hakikisha hujaenda. Ukienda mbali sana, you will get past your Paul calls it your age of flower or something. Yes. Inapotea. Ushakutana na dem ako single kabisa, single, ana mtu ana bwana, lakini anakaa ameolewa. Because it wears out. That is the reality. Life has phases and it has seasons. If you let it pass because you are playing hard to get, you want it but you still want to play like ati nikikubali haraka ataona niko loose. When people test your looseness or tightness by saying yes or no. Then people play harder, play harder, and then everyone goes. And then you realize you've hit 40, 50. Say, Pastor, pray for me, I'm lonely. I'm very lonely. I have a friend who's gone suicidal because she's lonely. She wants to get married, but there's no one, and she's gone suicide. So as a friend, I have to keep on calling to make sure she's still breathing. Yeah, these things are serious. Hivi tu mnajidanganya hapa social media ati playing hard to get. Playing hard to get. We play too hard to get. Mimi nakukumbusha watu wanafaa kwa wako kamiti life imprisonment. Wewe unacheza. Just hold on to God like this. The Lord will lead you. The Lord will guide you. And the places the Lord guides are never disappointments. They are places of victory. Don't run your life with the philosophy and ideologies of this world. Just trust in God. And you're safe. So, if you are asked, what did you learn today? Bottom line, seek to build a relationship. With who? The rest will just fall in place. Aki hakuna shortcut. If you thought I was coming to give you clues, 10 easy steps to courtship. Hiyo kitu hakuna, hiyo kitabu siwezi andika, hata kuna mtu ameandika. Hiyo kitu hakuna. You just have to build an intimate relationship with God. Then you will always know His will. And there's nothing as beautiful as knowing that this is the direction God wants me to take. These are the number of children God wants me to have. This is the kind of job God wants me to have. This is the place God wants me to stay. Marriage is hard. A blessing, but hard. I've not even discussed with you the spiritual aspect of marriage. Where you move into a home, you're married, and it's a home with the darkness. And you have to fight. And you lack the spiritual stamina to fight. I went to this home, that was not last Sunday, the other one. We were on a prayer mission. The whole home seated is polygamous. Grandchildren called from all over the country. Everybody is seated. And we found, when we entered, we thought it was a church. Seats. Then they have placed some chairs and table. It looks like we are going to preach. We sat, prayed. So they now want to put their prayer requests. We don't understand what is happening in this home. What is happening? Every year we have funerals. Our male species are drinking. Those that have jobs cannot account for their salaries. Tena nakwambia, mimi sijui penye naendanga. This drinking is threatening my job. And the girls are saying, we are marriageable, but there is no one to even ask us for marriage. The whole home. They have suicides committed. There are members of the family that say, we hear voices. There is one demon possessed. It's horrible. So we ask, hivi tu yote mume tafuta solution mahali? And then the matriarch, there are two matriarchs, bibi mkubwa na mdogo. The mkubwa matriarch says this, an kata kana iko jaoda ne ngat ma momo. Momo means deaf. Yani, not deaf like he's not hearing, but mtu ako tu hapo. Ni raoi. Yani, would not even think of anything. Very innocent. An dalani onge ngamo sebe kajuoga. You know, prayers can be hard when people don't open up. Very hard. And then the small wife also spoke. And then we said, is there anyone who wants to speak? And then a son stood and said, let's be open if we want assistance. This, my big brother, this one, who at least is something in the family, is the only one working. The big matriarch has had 13 children. All have died, only 3 are remaining. And one that they can count on, the whole home can count on, is a DCI, works with DCI, and drinks to death, and has no money. As many kipata those new places. Even when we are seated with him, he's tipsy. So the other brother from the other house stands and says, you see that my brother, that one drinking. One day a woman came here that she can help us. Akampatia madawa ya kienyeji, nothing. It got worse. And then when we were burying one of our aunties last year, there was a suicide. A nurse committed suicide at Kenyatta some time back. When we were burying that one, another one came and told us she can help us. And we have been wasting money on witch doctors. But you see, to them are people who pray. But a real, ajuoga hiye. That is what she said. The witch doctor that we knew even as this is a witch doctor. This man came into this home. Jikondo mama. Huyu matriarch mkubwa. Jikondo huyu anasema hakuna mganga amekuja. Hapo ndio tulifanyia hiyo vitu. So we asked, what did you do? So huyo mtu alituweka to chuakoa gulu. Chuakoa gulu is what? To not boil, but to boil a pot, steam a pot. To heat the pot. What were you heating? Nothing. It was just pot empty. They were told to heat it until it breaks. Let me ask you, how does a pot harden? I thought it's by heating. Newa chuako gino tieno mangema. Waliweka miti, wakaweka, nothing. Then you realize you've actually raised an altar to the devil. Yeah, it's witchcraft. And anytime you raise an altar, you either summon God or you summon demons. And they come. When God comes, he comes with blessings. When the devil comes, he comes with curses. You enter into a covenant, permitting them to run your life. So if you raised an altar to God, God will run your life. You raised it to the devil through witchcraft, the devil will run your life. And you attach all your generations to partake of either blessings or curses. So, because of witchcraft that was there, years before even the grandchildren, today the whole home reaps the curses that came with visits to the what? To witch doctors. So the whole home is cursed. Joblessness, singlehood, people committing suicide, demon possession, drunkenness. There is no peace in that home. And then you meet one man. Sometimes the way you're looking at me. You meet at the university there. He proposes, and you get excited, and you tell all the girls, you're showing off the ring. The man takes you to his home. Quickly, there is a wedding. Did you know your generation, his seed, because that curse continues through what? Generations. So you're in this home, you also begin to partake of the what? The curses. So you get him very good in KU, a singer in the choir. Sings so well, baptized, prophecy teacher. And then he marries you. 2 years down the line, he's now a drunkard. Ati mimi nikimpata alikuwa elder wa church. Alikuwa deacon. Nini imefanyika? Hata mimi sijui, anakunywa tu. Hata church squeeze haendi. But you see, it's a generational curse that runs in the family. Don't think he's the only one with that darkness. You also have those that you're carrying from your what? You are home. So you come with your line of curses. He comes with his line. Or Willie comes from Dalago Willie Jayan Ganyaja. Willie Kochia. Willie a Kochia gi mudo mane dalage. And then the wife also kurija. Kosele. Nyakarachuan. Kosele na mudo ya kwao yote. Alafu wanakutana kwa ndo. Then it begins to play out. And then both of you cannot discern that what we are going through is not what we are seeing. What we are going through is actually a generational curse that needs to be broken. And then you fight with the Willie over his drinking. Ati, akona pesa mingi, watoto watajui wanalipa school fees aje, ni kukunywa tu na wanawake. You see, what you are treating as symptoms. Because when you talk about pombe, there is no pombe without women. There is no pombe without adultery. You got it? So you say, hey, Willie anakimbia huku na huku, wasichana wachache oni ambassador, sijui youth, wa mama, hata wale wa mama women ministry wamefika 50. God forbid a Willie. So he's a Willie all over. Willie. You see, what you need to break is that generational curse. Are you prepared to face that darkness? When they're introducing the lineage of Samuel, read first chapter of Samuel. We are given the whole lineage of Samuel for you to understand the predicaments in his family. They are not giving us that lineage because they want to get a Bible compiled. It is for them to understand the lineage of Samuel was cursed. Baba yake alikuwa cursed because he descended from Levi. Levi, together with the brother Simeon, are the ones that went and circumcised a tribe who raped their sister Dinah. Wakasema, mkikuwa circumcised, tunapea wewe nyinyi wasichana. Alafu wakacircumcise. Walipo circumcise, because you know circumcision is painful. Hiyo siku wamekaa wananas wound, they went and killed all men. And when their father Jacob is passing blessings, when it reached Levi and Simon, he passed a curse. It runs through the generation, paka kwa baba ya Simon. So when Simon now is a man, not Simon, baba yake alikuwa anaitwa nani? Elkanah. When Elkanah now has a family, quickly the Lord delays a child, he contracts a second marriage. So tayari is a polygamous setup. And there is war. Let me tell you, you need a spiritual stamina to fight the darkness. When you get a man, stop asking how much he earns. Stop asking which school he went to. Those are important, yes. But when you get a man, find out who he is his father, who is his father's father, find out, trace that generation and all the darkness that is there. You can even contract private detective if you want. Those things used to happen when we Luos. They were called Jawangyo. Do I have someone here older than me or old like me? Jawangyo, before a girl is married, they send someone to their home. Thorough background search. And they would come and say, there are no witches there or there are witches. No one would release their daughter to a home there is witchcraft. There was a thorough background. Because you see, the man acts like the belt that connects the past generations to future generations. And that seed goes like that. So, ile takataka yote ilifanywa huko, inaendelea. Wewe bado anafanya kazi gani? Anafanya Safaricom. Hata aulizi kazi gani Safaricom. Have you called 400 when you're doing home fiber? You'll be connected to the next available agent. Kumbe ni agent wa home fiber. Forget about those things. Because anyone can become rich. Poor people can become rich. Rich people can become poor. You never know your fate. Find out, where are you marrying from? I'm not asking so that when you find darkness, you withdraw. No. So that you also gauge your spiritual stamina. Am I able to deal with the darkness that is in the home I'm going? But you see, you want to look sexy. You want to look sexy for demons. Bro, romo gija chia, ni romo gija chia, bro, go igi sexiness, nino, bro, go imitar. Mimi nimemaliza. Mungu awabariki. Ambassadors, enda soma. King Sibinja, unfortunately, ingeni the soul. Enda musome. Nyinyi mutaongea juu ya marriage. In fact, today I say there is no point of delaying. Ambassadors are living marriage life even before they are marriageable age. In fact, they know too much than we know. Ninaambia ambassador, enda soma kitabu, wacha maneno mingi. Wewe soma kitabu, mtu asidanganye wewe na relationship. Unasikia msichana yangu? Hata ile ni ambassador. Do, manyaro wite. Manyaro nga? No, I'm asking. Joelu? Unajua mimi ni aunti yako, na Nyathene. Uliza mama yako. Wewe sasa nakufuata na GPS. Mzuri sana. Wewe soma. Hii swali ya at what age should I have a relationship, na wewe ni ambassador, hata itakusaidia. Sababu wewe uko na miaka ngapi? 15. King zako na ngapi? Mimi natumia tu kama example. King Zadi 19, 15. Hakuna shida. Hiyo watu wanaweza wawana. Lakini shida iko hapa. Shida tu iko hapa. Wakati msichana amefika 21. You know 21 we get married. Very well. 21, 22, those are marriageable ages for women. Hivi tu mnatupeleka mpaka 28 na unataka chali yako na age difference ya 7, 35. Unafikiri pale chali wa 35 wapi bado ako single? Na wewe ulifika 28. Wakati she gets to 22, let me say, now wants to get married. How old is Kings? 26. Okay. Kings is still thinking, I'm not old enough for what? For marriage. Or even when they are the same age. Wako tu hapo ambassador wanajidanganyisha hapo ati wanaweza kuwa into a relation. Wote wako 15. Ama mmoja wako 16. So then they start dating at that age. 15. Or even 18. Let me imagine they've finished Form 4. They begin dating at 18. So Kings is 19. The girl is 18. The girl goes only 3 or 4 years and she should be marriageable. 22. Kings is 23. Then she begins, yani tumedate 2-4 years, bado huwezi propose. How old is Kings? 22. The girl is 22, Kings is 23. You know, at 23, a man is still a baby. At 23, a man's wife is actually a pathfinder. So msidanganyane hapa ndani hapa. Na kayouth fulani mko same age. Ati uko 25, kako 25. Bibi yake yako pathfinder hapa. Ndio karibu ana graduate kwenda ambassador. Those are the courtships you take for 10 years. Now when Kings is 30 now says I want to marry, you look like his mother. Because you now even look older than Kings now. It takes you nowhere. Soma umalize shule, bwana yako wako safari kwa ameanza kazi. Tatafuta wewe huko. Ya Kings mwenye yuko 19 bado wako adventurous. Anakuja pole pole. Sasa ni kusoma na kujua Mungu. Tunaelewana? Kusoma hata hii majamaa hii youth kubwa isikudanganye. Hapana. Ati, yeah, you look good. And they tell you your hair is nice, you tell them I'm aware. Okay? Yeah, that is how people break their eyes for conversations. I like your attire. I'm fine, I'm aware. You know, they don't tell you again. Because who would leave house without looking good? Say, really? Really? Then they start, by the way, you've already started the nasty conversation of by the way. Do you know I like you? Yeah. May the Lord bless us in Jesus' name.